Fate, the Winx Saga is the talk of the town, but most of us have already binge-watched and discussed the living heck out of it. So, it's time to move on to other magic, monsters, and drama. If you like watching supernatural shows that take your mind off the mundane hustle-bustle of life, you've stumbled upon the right side of YouTube. So, put on your PJs and grab a bowl of popcorn as we discuss the 5 most popular supernatural shows like Fate, the Winx Saga. When has a little fairy magic hurt anyone? Welcome back to Alpha, Fairies, and Specialists. The series Fate, the Winx Saga revolves around fairies and specialists, or soldiers, from the otherworld who live in a hostel where they learn to practice their magic and polish their expertise. Sounds familiar, right? The only thing missing is flying brooms and talking hats. The first season of the show introduces us to a fire fairy, Bloom, who is living with humans and is oblivious to her powers. Until one day she almost burns her parents to a crisp, quite literally. She is then introduced to Alpha, where she makes new fairy friends, Stella, Tara, Aisha, and Musa. Later in the season, it is revealed that Bloom is a special fairy who is extremely powerful. While navigating her love life with Sky, building bonds with her friends, and learning to control the fire inside of her, Bloom comes across a fairy who is locked up in the basement of the school. The fairy asks Bloom questions that change her entire narrative of the school and her life. Where was she originally from? Who are her birth parents? Why was she not brought up in the other world like all the other fairies? The first season ends on a cliffhanger, leaving the viewers anxious for answers. The latest season shows that mysterious activities have been going on around the school, with the previous principal missing. Miss Rosalind is in charge, and let's just say that she's more of a Dolores Umbridge than a Dumbledore. With the students anxious about the new changes, a huge plot is revealed, and some deaths that we didn't see coming. Don't worry, we won't reveal them, you'll have to see it for yourselves. This show is a must-watch since it combines dark fantasy and some drama with supernatural themes. If this series sounds like your cup of tea, then we have a lot more saved up for you, so keep watching. First up, Stranger Things. Who will win in a fight between the Demogorgon and Eleven? We're pretty sure you must have guessed what's first on our list. Stranger Things. This is a science fiction series with a horror plotline, monsters, and much more. This show tells the story of 4 best friends who live in Hopkins, Indiana, and spend their time playing D&D in their basement. The storyline starts when one of them, Will, mysteriously goes missing. Along with his mother, brother, and the chief of police, Hopper, the gang sets out to find Will. Spooky, right? This isn't even the best part. On their quest to find Will, who, FYI, is trapped in another dimension, they come across a girl named Eleven. It is revealed that Eleven has run away from a super secret government program that teaches kids mind control powers. Not so good with the security for the super secret government agency, though. With the help of Eleven, the kids are able to defeat the monster who has captured Will and is responsible for the supernatural occurrences across their town. The best part about this show is that they don't shy away from showing the narrative, geek is cool. Well, that's a first. But the light humor and powerful portrayal of the characters make everything fit together perfectly. With an IMDb rating of 8.7, the show goes on for 4 seasons with interesting plots and stories in each season. Die-hard fans of the show are anxiously waiting for season 5, as season 4 broke all previous records of the series and was ranked as the most watched drama series in the UK until now. Don't go anywhere, because we have just started lining up the best supernatural shows for you to binge on. Up next, Lucifer. We've all heard the phrase, the devil wears Prada, but in this case, the devil prefers Armani and Ralph Lauren. The next series on our list is named after one of its stars, Lucifer Morningstar, a playboy who enjoys sex, drugs, and rock and roll. It is largely based on a DC comic book character. Running an LA club called Lux allows him to indulge in all of these things with willing partners of all genders. Despite the fact that if he followed his father's instructions, Lucifer would spend even more eons ruling hell. That's right, folks, Lucifer is actually Satan, the ruler of hell. You do realize who his father is by now, don't you? We'll let you solve that mystery yourself. Lucifer meets a stern detective through a series of coincidences, or fate maybe, and yes, just go with it, they work together to solve crimes. The character Lucifer also has a catchphrase, "What do you truly desire?" This, along with his stern stare, makes the other person reveal their true desires, which often help him and his partner, Detective Chloe Decker, solve cases. If you're prepared to give Lucifer a try for the first time, you should be aware that it has evolved over time to become looser, funnier, and more emotionally compelling, while yet maintaining an admirable devotion to the essentials of high-quality mainstream television. It's a fun ride. We suggest you take it. Coming up next, The Vampire Diaries. This show is not a silly substitute for Twilight, but has unique qualities, storyline, and plot twists never seen before. This sci-fi supernatural thriller series peaked in 2009 and 2010, and has an IMDb rating of 7.9 out of 10. The show revolves around a girl, Elena, and her 2 vampire suitors, Stefan and Damon. Oh, and the cherry on top, they're brothers. The series shows how Elena's affection changes from one brother to another while transforming into a vampire herself. It also shows the connection vampires have with witches, werewolves, and the original vampires who sired those who came after after them. Disappointing the Belle Swan fandom, Elena maintained her firm stance that she, under no circumstances, wanted to join the undead. After years of balancing between the two worlds, the show's heroine was plunged headfirst into one full of mistaken passion, sensuality, and homicidal instinct. Oops. As unhappy as she was from her transition into a vampire, the show really picked up after that. It showed us that a vampire's ability to switch off their emotions at will can be interpreted as numbing depression and grief, or simply giving up on the humanity left inside them entirely. The first was always the most intriguing. Elena flipped the switch following Jeremy's, her brother's, passing, and Caroline, her best friend, did the same after her mother's cancer death. And it doesn't just end there. It goes on to reveal the mysterious past of Elena and Stefan, the story of werewolves, and much more. The show is a must-watch for all vampire and werewolf lovers. And now, the TVD spin-off, The Originals. Do you think The Vampire Diaries is interesting? Let us take you back in history where it all began. One of the most popular supernatural television programs available right now is The Originals, a spin-off of The Vampire Diaries. The show is about Klaus Mikaelson, a vampire werewolf, and his stupidly good-looking siblings who were the original vampires of the world and whose bloodline created vampires like Stefan and Damon. It starts off by telling us how his mother, a powerful witch, created a spell that would save her children from the attacks of werewolves at night, but accidentally turned them into blood-sucking creatures. The show also goes on to tell us about the bond between Klaus Mikaelson and his adopted son, Marcel Gerard, that lies at the heart of all this political intrigue. Marcel was saved from slavery around 200 years ago by Klaus, one of the 1,000-year-old original vampires about 200 years ago. Klaus then reared Marcel on his own, but never treated him as such. Dominating? Yes. Fatherly? Not so much. Don't be surprised, this is just how the Mikaelsons show each other love. It is now shown that Klaus and his brother Elijah have come to New Orleans after years, only to find Marcel running the place with an army of vampires at his disposal. Shocked by the change in status quo, Klaus sets out to find out how things have changed ever since he left Marcel and New Orleans all those years ago. However, this mystery cannot be solved without him ruffling up some feathers. Lastly, do not forget to check out Manifest. It all starts when a plane, Flight 828, re-emerges after 5 years of mysteriously going missing. Ben, his sister Michaela, and his son Cal boarded the plane after coming back from family vacation. After a pretty rocky flight, they reunite with their family only to discover that everything has changed. Ben's daughter Olive, Cal's twin, has grown up. Michaela's fiance is now married to someone else, and Ben's wife has moved on, although he doesn't know it yet. That's gotta hurt. The mystery begins when all the passengers of the plane start having visions that lead them to the plane, only for it to burst into flames out of nowhere. The show goes on for 3 seasons, explaining how these visions, callings, work and what they can mean for each passenger. Don't let us stop you from this thriller, check it out for yourself. And that's all for us, folks. The real question is, in a fight between vampires and werewolves, who do you think will win? Let us know in the comments.